So today we're going to be talking about 5 tips to pick the best oval cut diamond and why. So tip number 1 is going to be to get an oval cut diamond that has even brilliance and contrast. So when we say contrast in a diamond, we mean the dark parts of your stone, whereas when we're talking about brilliance, we're talking about the whiteness and the sparkle in your stone. So with that being said, you're gonna really wanna focus on having that even distribution between the contrast and the brilliance. It's possible to have oval cut stones that have a lot more contrast and oval cut stones that have a lot more brilliance, and I'll show you why you kind of wanna find a really good middle point for those stones. The left side here is gonna be the stone that looks just completely washed out, too much brilliance, not enough contrast. Whereas the middle is gonna be your perfect kind of area for your stone, kind of where you want to pick when you're going to look for oval cut. And then on the far right is gonna be the stone that has too much contrast and just looks quite a bit dark. The contrast is very, very obvious. Those are kind of the things that you wanna stick away from when you're choosing an oval cut, because those can be things that do stick out quite a bit. When you're looking at an oval cut stone, you do want to keep in mind that it is a good thing to have contrast in your stone. You do actually want some darkness in there. Without the darkness or without the proper amount of contrast, you won't really get as much sparkle. So it's kind of like a give and take with your oval cut diamonds. It's very important to have an even mixture of both. So another thing that is really important about having that even contrast is that it can actually help hide your bow tie and the tips that are pretty much inevitable in oval cut diamonds. So that's just another thing that you can kind of keep in mind when you're looking for an evenly balanced stone. So tip number 2 is going to be to avoid too much contrast in the middle of your stone and to be very aware of your bow ties. So too much darkness in the middle can actually add to your bow tie, and that's just not really something that you're wanting in an oval cut diamond. Likewise, watered out bow ties are also something that you're not really gonna wanna look for in your diamond. That's kind of what creates that washed out appearance of your stone. There's just not enough contrast. So here's another diagram I'm gonna show you. So on the left side, this is your washed out bow tie. This is one of the things you wanna avoid, not enough contrast. Whereas on the far right side, we have a bow tie that is way too dark, way too noticeable, and it's very distracting from the rest of your stone. The middle stone there is gonna be kind of what you wanna look for when you're going for them. It's very evenly balanced. You wanna still have that contrast in that bow tie, but not too washed out and not too dark. Tip number 3 is gonna be to know those oval diamond cut quirks. So oval cut is considered a fancy cut, and there's a lot of little details that go into why we call it a fancy cut, and I'm gonna get into those with you right now. So an oval diamond has tips, or what some people call ends of the diamond. It's basically just the soft arcs at the very top and the bottom of the stone. So the one thing you're really gonna wanna pay attention to is to avoid overly colored or overly dark tips or ends of your stone. So this is gonna most frequently occur in stones that have a one facet cut on the top and the bottom. This typically doesn't really happen with multifaceted cut diamonds. When you have multifaceted tips on your diamond, it's much easier to sort of break apart that contrast with all the different angles and the shine of the facets. So with your ends, you really want to avoid inconsistent color in the tips of your stone. You don't want to go for something that is very saturated in the ends. It's just going to make the overall color of your stone look a lot warmer or a lot darker than what you're maybe wanting it to look like. So again, when you're looking at those 360 videos, you also want to check to see if the end color is the same as the center of the stone. If it's not the same, you want to reject it. Consistency is key with the color in your oval cut diamond. So tip number 4 is going to be the length to width ratio of your stone. So length to width is just gonna show you how long, how skinny, or how plump your stone is going to be. So although it can sound a little technical and maybe even a little bit complicated, it's really just the length of your stone divided by the width of your stone, and that's it. So a lot of people wanna know, what is the optimal or ideal ratio for your oval cut diamond, and what can you look for when you're looking for a specific ratio? So most jewelers are gonna say that the ideal cut for your oval is gonna be 1.35 by 1.50. That's typically what a lot of people will look for in that ideal size of the oval. However, there are various ratios that are all very stunning, and it really does come down to personal preference. If you like your stone to be a bit wider, maybe a little bit shorter, that's something that you can also go for. Whereas if you want a look that might be a little bit more elongated, you can go for that as well. So the lower your ratio is going to be the shorter and the more plump that it looks, whereas the higher the ratio is going to be how skinny it appears. There is one really great perk about opting for a higher ratio. The skinniness of the oval actually makes it appear larger in carat weight in comparison to a smaller ratio stone. So if you're looking for something that's gonna look a little bit bigger than maybe it is, you kind of want to go for a higher ratio stone or a longer oval cut diamond. So on this diagram here, you're just going to be able to see kind of that variation of ratios and what that might look like, starting with a shorter, more plump looking oval all the way up to like a skinnier diamond, just so you can kind of get a look and get a feel for how that's going to look like depending on the ratio that you choose. Last but not least, tip number 5 is going to be all about fish eyes and reflections in your diamond. Nothing is worse than a perfect on-paper oval cut diamond that's just littered with random reflections and random fisheyes and all the things that you're not wanting when you're looking for your center stone. So a fisheye is when the girdle of your stone reflects awkwardly underneath the table of your diamond. This can kind of create this ghostly white ring around your stone, which is not what you're looking for when you're looking for the center stone of your ring. Because of an oval's length, they can sometimes show very odd reflections and random reflections here and there. So when you're watching your video and you're 360 and you're going around, make sure to keep an eye out for those reflections. If you see anything strange, just make sure to reject it. It's gonna show up in the sparkle. You don't want that. The best ovals you can find are gonna have very clean facets, very clean reflections, and it's gonna have that even contrast and brilliance like we mentioned in the first tip. And that's something that you're definitely gonna wanna pay attention to when you're looking for your stone and when you're looking through all those videos. So we know that finding that perfect stone can be really overwhelming and extremely technical. If you ever want any assistance finding the perfect oval for you, do not worry. We have our gemologist Kareen, she is fantastic, and our founder Krish, who actually proposed with an oval cut diamond as well, and either one of them would be more than happy to help you in your search. Send us an email and we'd be happy to help you out.